Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is right here, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. Guys, it is time for war. Not with Balake, but with super Scientologist, one of the world's largest recruiters and supporters of the human trafficking cult known as Scientology. We're talking, of course, about the world's most famous fake billionaire, Grant Cardone. We're talking about Grant Cardone today through the lens of his 10x health scam that is looks like it's on the precipice of imploding. This is a fascinating story. I'm going to explain to you how I even got onto this story. I'm going to share information with you that I have from an extremely well-placed insider. One of the fascinating things, or the thing that drew me to this story, is I'm always blown away by the quality or high profileness of the people that Grant Cardone has been able to convince to vouch for him, to hawk his products, to speak at his conferences. And no one has been as energetic in promoting Grant Cardone's 10x health scam as UFC President Dana White. And even Joe Rogan has been involved in this, but in a limited capacity, which I'm going to explain in a few minutes. And so the subject and what we're going to discuss in today's video started because a very well-placed source reached out to me. And one of my main questions, this is what's been bugging me for like a year or 2 years now. As soon as I saw Dana White start partnering up with Grant Cardone, I thought, what in God's name is going on here? What could Grant possibly be offering Dana to get him to give Grant Cardone even a shred of credibility? No matter what you think about Dana White, he's a huge figure in his space. Kind of like Tom Brady is a huge figure in his space, and somehow Grant Cardone gets Tom Brady to endorse Grant Cardone and his various scams. So when this source reached out to me, my first question is, what in God's name is going on with Dana White, Grant Cardone, and 10x Health Systems? And what I've done, guys, is take all the responses that I have on this subject and I've put them into my own notes and I've edited them up and I've arranged topics. And I'm going to read from my own notes. I'm not going to screen share them in case I've left anything in the notes that would reveal the source. I'm not going to screen share them. I am going to share with you some things. I've got some things ready to screen share with you that the notes refer to. But, well, here's something I'll share with you right. Oh, where'd it go? Oh no, did I lose it? Okay, here it is. Dana White himself just published an 8.5-minute video to the UFC's own YouTube channel. This thing is over 700,000 views. I watched this video when it came out less than a week ago. It says March 22nd. Okay, a little more than a week ago. I watched this video because I have already heard Dana White. And by the way, I'm playing this with the sound off. But I've already heard Dana White talk about this health program that he's been on for the last couple of years. He's lost a ton of weight. He's talked about his health journey on many, many podcasts, and he attributes it to, you'll see this red light machine does have the 10x Health Systems logo on it. And in this video, he does feature, I'm scrolling forward trying to find Gary Brecka. Is this Gary Brecka? Where are you, Gary? Come here, Gary. That's not Gary. That's his trainer. That's Gary Brecka. And I think later in this video, there's Gary Brecka. Okay. Even though this video shows a machine that says 10x Health Systems, the word 10x Health Systems does not appear anywhere in this 8.5-minute promo video that Dana White published. Okay, the next thing I'm going to share with you here. This is an episode of Joe Rogan. This was November 9th, so December, January, February, March, almost 5 months ago. This is a video with Gary Brecka of 10x Health Systems. Guys, in this entire interview, The word 10X Health Systems does not get mentioned once. And the word Grant Cardone does not get mentioned once. That's going to become relevant here in a moment. Okay, let me pull up my notes here, guys. I'm going to start reading this to you. Okay, so I asked the question, what is the deal with Dana White? Is 10X Health Systems and Grant Cardone, are they paying Dana White to say all these things about 10X Health? Or does Dana promote 10X Health because Grant Cardone and 10X Health are sponsoring Dana White's new Power Slap League? I don't know if you guys know, but Dana White's got a new sports league where people just slap each other in the face. It's pretty hardcore. It sounds silly. It is. Anyway, just Google Power Slap. You'll be shocked at what you find. Okay, so the answer that I got specifically. So first, we're going to talk about the relationship to Dana White and 10X Health. Then we're going to talk about the imminent collapse of 10X Health itself and the rift and the split that is occurring between Grant Cardone and Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka has all the big celebrities on his side. He's got the Joe Rogan. He's got Kim Kardashian. He's got Leonardo DiCaprio. He's got all these guys. They're there for Gary Brecka. They're not there for Dana White. They're not even there for 10X Health. They're there for Gary Brecka. This is why this is all about to implode. Okay, so my source says 10X Health pays Dana White, and Dana White is also part of the affiliate program, which pretty much is just people promoting 10X Health products, and they get a commission from what they sell. And because of the success of that program, they have a lot of celebrities and influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers enrolled on this affiliate program. The revenue generated to 10X Health just from their affiliate sales program is almost 40% of the revenue of the entire company. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Grant Cardone uses his 10X growth conferences to try and get the people that he pays. So Grant Cardone will pay high-profile VIP people to come and speak at his conferences. He uses that relationship to try to convince these celebrities and these VIPs to join the affiliate program for 10X Health. They can make a lot of money promoting the 10X Health programs to their viewers, their fans, their subscribers, whatever you will. And that's one of the ways Grant Cardone makes money on these 10X growth conferences, because these conferences don't actually make money. They're loss leaders. They're ways to get people into the sales funnel and to create other sales opportunities, such as the 10X Health affiliate program. My source says, but the biggest story about 10X Health right now is the rift and the split that is occurring between Grant Cardone and 10X Health and the guy who is running 10X Health and is one of the owners of 10X Health, Gary Brecka. Gary Brecka has been trying to separate from Grant Cardone and 10X Health for the past year. You might have noticed that all the big high-profile podcasts and interviews that Gary Brecka does, he never mentions Grant Cardone, and he never even mentions 10X Health. I couldn't believe that on the biggest podcast in the world, Gary Brecka never said the words 10X Health. That must have absolutely infuriated Grant Cardone. And anyone who's paying attention, that should have been a huge sign that something is seriously amiss over there at 10X Health. And I'll tell you, if Gary Brecka takes a hike over at 10X Health, the entire thing collapses, because the 40% of the revenue of the entire program is based on the affiliate sales of the VIPs and the celebrities who are all with Gary, not with Grant. Okay. My source goes on. Grant has been trying really hard to get rid of Gary as well. The problem is that Gary is the one that has all the connections with the celebrities, and the celebrities just love Gary. Dana White, Joe Rogan, the Kardashians, Channing Tatum, Leonardo DiCaprio, etc. So once again, the short answer is that anyone who is out there promoting 10X Health is not promoting it because of the success of the program that they're doing. They're really promoting it because they're making good money using their platforms to sell 10X Health products and getting a fat commission out of it. Now, I do think it is worth commenting on the fact I personally think 10X Health's program is a fraud and a scam nutritionally and fitness speaking. It's my personal opinion. I watched the video that Dana White did recently. It's basically red light and oxygen therapy. There was 4 components of the program, and I'm going to blank out on right now. All 4 components of the program are bullshit if you're selling them as a therapy. They may not be bullshit if you're just recommending them as an interesting or fun thing to do. But I'll tell you, at the end of the video, Gary Brecka actually gets on the video and says, hey, if you can't afford all this expensive options, it's just as effective to ground yourself. In other words, a contact with your bare skin on the earth, and go get sunlight and breathe deeply. It's like, I got to tell you, if you're selling an expensive health program and the alternative is go outside, then there's something wrong with your health program. Now, I'll say at the same time, something can be a scam and still work for people. That might seem like a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. Something can be a scam and be sold using scammy tactics and still work for some of the people who do it. At the end of the day, any program that gets you more active, that gets you lifting a little bit of weights, that gets you to get your blood and your heart pumping, honestly, that does get you to get a little bit of sunlight, is going to, or get you to maybe reduce your calorie intake, is going to make you feel better. And one of the reasons I'm mentioning all this is because Dana White does actually have a legitimate reason to be happy with the 10X program. Look at the guy. He looks like he's as fit as he was when he was 20 years old. Now, that might be a reason to be a fan of the program. But when you look at how much Dana White is out there actually promoting this program on other podcasts, that's not necessarily normal. I might have my favorite protein shake that I drink all the time, but I'm not going to mention it when I go on Lex Friedman or Jordan Peterson. Dana's promoting the shit because of the financial incentive. And I'm not, that's not a knock on the guy. It's just people need to be aware of that. There's nothing wrong with promoting products for money. I have sponsorships on my channel. I'm not knocking it. I'm just commenting on this particular dynamic. Okay, so then with my source, I followed up. I said, why is Grant Cardone trying to get rid of Gary Brecka? And the answer that I got is the primary reason is just jealousy. When Grant bought into 10X Health or started 10X Health, it was just an IV company that also sold red light panels and beds, which he calls Superhuman Protocol now. He now calls it the Superhuman Protocol. That's right. One of these things is a thing that you sleep on that grounds you to the earth. So you've got the grounding, you've got the red light therapy. There's an oxygen therapy, which is basically breathing enriched oxygen while doing light cardio. And and a cold water plunge. That's the Superhuman Protocol. Let me tell you something. Sleeping on a gimmicky bed, sitting in a bed that bathes you in red light, doing a cold plunge, and walking on a treadmill while breathing enriched oxygen is not how Dana White has lost 100 pounds. That's absolutely insane. Okay. Like I said, guys, you'd be just as good to just go outside, breathe, and go for a swim. All right. So, okay. When Grant started 10X Health, it was just an IV company that also sold red light panels and beds, which he calls Superhuman Protocol. When he meets Gary, Grant realizes that Gary has the genetic testing. And Gary Brecka was able to do these genetic tests and see all the breakdowns of the DNA, and he can fix the breakdowns of the DNA with supplements. Now, guys, I'm going to go on the record right now. To me, I think everything I just described to you is also a scam, but that's just my personal opinion. Grant, also being a Scientologist, loves the idea of using supplements to fix DNA problems, and that's when Grant purchased Streamline Medical, which is the company that Gary Brecka owned in Naples, Florida. And this is how you got the marriage of Grant Cardone and Gary Brecka and entered the new age of 10X Health. When that acquisition occurred, a decision was made. They decided that Grant would not promote the 10X Health program on his social platforms at that time because they were not ready to fulfill all the sales that would be generated from that activity, all the leads that would be generated from that marketing activity. And that's when Gary Brecka stepped in and ended up becoming the face of 10X Health. At the beginning, Gary Brecka started doing podcasts, talking about all the magnificent genetic testing and how he can predict when a person could possibly die. And that is the story of Dana White. When Dana White met Gary Brecka did these tests on Dana and then told Dana he had 10 years to live, and then made a customized, personalized program for Dana White so that Dana wouldn't die in 10 years. And then Dana did the superhuman protocol and now became superhuman, and Dana drank the Kool-Aid. I have heard Dana White tell this story. He sat down with Gary Brecka and Gary did these genetic tests and he told me the exact day I was gonna die. And the first thing I thought is, Dana, how can you be so stupid as to fall for one of the cheapest and easiest sales techniques and tactics in the business? How can you be so stupid as to not know that nobody can tell you when you're going to die? Now, I feel stupid calling a guy like Dana White stupid, because Dana White's the guy who's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and a huge, massive success in his space. And I don't mind saying, guys, I'm a big fan of Dana White. I like the guy. So I'm not calling, like, Dana White's not a stupid guy. I'm just saying, when I saw Dana White go on, by the way, Dana White recently, just last week, Lex Friedman published a 90-minute interview with Dana White. Highly recommend it. Fascinating interview. I mean, Dana White is a fighter, a warrior. He's ruthless. He's a go-getter. He's a killer. And I like the guy. But when I saw him going on podcasts saying how he had been sold on this health and fitness program by a dude who claimed to be able to tell him the day he was going to die, I was like, bro, come on. And now look, 2 years later, or 18 months, 2 years later, you see Dana White. The guy looks fantastic. He's in the best shape of his life. And guys, there's some analogies here, some similarities to Scientology. You know, Scientology can be totally bogus, which it is, and it can be a total con, which it is. And yet Scientology can, its courses and its auditing, can be helpful or beneficial to a percentage of the people who do them. And to those people who have experienced benefit from Scientology auditing or courses, particularly at the lower levels, good luck convincing those guys that Scientology is a cult or a scam. Like, someone's own personal anecdotal evidence will override the science, if you will. I'm just using that word loosely. Almost 100% of the time. Good luck convincing someone that their own experience is not necessarily evidence of the effectiveness of something. I mean, even what do they call it? The placebo effect. You can give somebody a sugar pill, and as long as they think you're giving them the medicine, 20% of the time or something, it's going to actually work. It's the power of the mind. Okay, so that's how Dana White ended up drinking the Kool-Aid. Is this happened? And I when I read this anecdote of Dana White meeting Gary Brecka, being told when he's going to die, getting on the superhuman protocol and losing tons of weight, and getting off all the medicines he was taking and all this kind of stuff, I just can't help but think of Scientologists who will tell you that exact same story, that's how they got into Scientology, that's how they started getting auditing, that's how they knew the tech worked, that's how they knew LRH was source and everything he said was brilliant. It's like, once you drink that Kool-Aid, it tastes pretty good and you want more. All right, let's see. My source continues on. Okay, so this move, this basically this huge whale that Gary Brecka landed with Dana White. I mean, especially in the fitness. I mean, Dana White's like the face of like combat sports, and the guy's vouching for 10X Health in the most serious way. This move not only put 10X Health right in front of a large section of the world, right front and center to millions and millions of people. It brought a lot of attention to Gary Brecka personally and directly. And that is when the problem started. Gary Brecka is not a medical doctor. He is a biologist only. Gary Brecka, in reality, cannot prescribe any medications. But Gary Brecka was prescribing medications. He was promoting himself as a medical doctor, calling himself a biohacker. And all of Gary Brecka's celebrities, all these celebrities were coming in to Gary Brecka due to the success that he had with Dana White. And Gary Brecka was prescribing things left and right, all of these medicines, all these medications to his VIP clients. And that was a huge no-no. That's when Grant Cardone started to put the brakes on Gary, started to step on the brakes. But that ship had already sailed. Gary Brecka was already too big for Grant to control him. Some additional problems started when 10X Health acquired a company called Health Gains. And I did just Google 10x health gains, and I found this press release. Grant Cardone's 10x Health System acquires leading Florida-based healthcare brand, Health Gains. The acquisition is said to bring in a monumental growth and opportunity for both companies, as well as a chance for millions of South Florida residents to get what the pros get: personalized precision wellness. All right, let me get back to my notes here if I could find them. All right, additional problems started with the acquisition of Health Gains. Health Gains was a wellness treatment company that did preventative medicine, peptides, testosterone, HRT, growth hormone replacement, sexual treatment, etc. When 10x Health purchased Health Gains, all of Health Gains treatments were now in the hands of Gary Brecka. And he loved the fact that he had the technology provided by Health Gains. And all of the protocols of Health Gains were now in the hands of Gary Brecka. And he started pushing all of these new technologies and protocols onto his clients, which at this point were all of the VIP clients. An additional problem was that Grant Cardone wanted 10x Health to be a full Scientology company. And of course, Grant Cardone started to stop the sale of some of the services that Health Gains provided. He immediately stopped everyone trying to sell any medication that could be any part of under the psychiatry umbrella. For example, Adderall and other things like that. The second thing that Grant Cardone immediately stopped was the prescription of these sexual treatment protocols. And my source gave me a bunch of examples of these protocols, none of which I've ever actually heard of. Protocols for both male and female. My source says, I never understood why Grant did not want to push these protocols, as they're great sellers and there's a huge market for it. And based on all the videos that I've seen about Scientology and videos from you and others, I don't really see how those things go against Grant Cardone's Scientology views. Well, I'll tell you guys, I don't either. There's nothing in Scientology that I can think of or am aware of that would be violated by protocols having to do with sexual performance or anything like that. Okay, so at the same time that Grant Cardone is removing these services from the 10x Health systems, he's very much pushing and emphasizing hard selling the supplements and the supplement-based programs, which is no surprise because Scientologists are huge fans of vitamins and supplements. And it doesn't violate any of Scientology's beliefs. Okay, my source goes on. The problem with all this is that Gary Brecka doesn't give a shit about what Grant Cardone has envisioned for the company. And so Gary just goes solo and does whatever he wants or whatever his clients demand. So Gary Brecka continued to prescribe, still without being a doctor, without being allowed to prescribe these things, continued to prescribe all of these treatments and medicines, even the ones that Grant wanted stopped, and that pissed Grant Cardone off a lot. After that, Grant has been slowly trying to remove Gary Brecka, taking his power little by little, taking away his VIP clients, assigning those clients to other doctors, which is interesting because Gary's not a doctor to begin with, assigning his clients to other doctors because he knows that Gary has a following now and that he knows that Gary cannot be controlled. And he already sees Gary as a liability to the future of the 10x Health Systems company. The problem is that Gary Brecka found out about all this. And Gary Brecka found out that Grant Cardone was trying to minimize him and ostracize him and take away his power and remove him from the future vision of the company. That is why Gary Brecka no longer talks about 10th Health Systems on his own podcasts or on other people's podcasts, but instead he talks about his own research and what he himself can bring to the world. Not 10x Health Systems, not Grant Cardone. He says, just look at the last episode he did with Joe Rogan. Not one mention of 10x Health Systems anywhere. My source says there's other reasons that Grant is trying to get rid of Gary, but these reasons are the most important. And okay, good. That is all I'm going to do with those notes for right now. Now, one thing I always found interesting, when Gary Brecka tells the story of how he even got introduced to Dana White in the first place, he says a mutual friend of theirs made the introduction, and he names that mutual friend. He said it was Carrie Kasem, the daughter of Casey Kasem. Now, Carrie Kasem is a Scientologist, has been for a while. Wasn't born and raised in it, but she's been one for a while. I just always assumed that somehow it was Gary Brecka's relationship with Grant Cardone, which is how Gary Brecka met Carrie Kasem, and then somehow Carrie Kasem introduced Gary Brecka to Dana White. I recently saw a video of Carrie Kasem explaining how she first met Dana White. And I want to play that for you. This is very quick. It's like a 20-second clip. And the volume on the original video is a little low. So you might have to jack up the volume, but here it is.
I wait for him at an after fight party thing.
That's stalking, Carrie.
Yeah, a little bit, little stalker. Crazy. So I wait for him and I tell the bouncer, because I have no idea what he looks like, point out Dana White when he walks by. I'm going to sit here until that guy walks in. I get a nudge a few minutes later. That's Dana. I walk up to him, tap him on the shoulder. Dana, Carrie Kasem, I want to work for you. Total stalker. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, it's great. He's like, look, we're really not hiring, but I will let you know. Moving on. A month later, he calls me up. He said, listen, I'm in town. I'm with a couple fighters. Meet me at a morning show. And they were on this news morning show. I walk in. It's the two biggest fighters, Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. And I'm like, because at this point, I have read everything. I know everything. Okay. I could talk shop. I knew him. And I'm thinking, I'm in. He invites me to Mastro's that night. There's Joe Rogan. There's Joe Silva. There's, PR guy, Dana, the fighters, everybody, and me. And I'm talking shop. I'm holding my own. I'm thinking I'm in. Nothing. Month goes by, 2 months goes by. Finally, I get a call, and he said, it's Joe Silva. And we start talking, and I say, Joe, what do I got to do? And for some reason, Joe Silva mentions that Dana White likes black chapstick. Right, that was my thing.
Wait, what?
What's black chapstick?
What is black chapstick?
What's black chapstick? That's what I said. I'm like, black chapstick? He goes, the kind, the original with the black wrapper?
Oh.
So I said, oh, and a light went off in my head.
Okay, fine. This story's getting boring. Okay, so I didn't know this, but apparently in the early UFC event, in the days of the early days of the UFC, Carrie Kasem was like one of the hosts of the UFC events. I never knew this. I started watching the UFC in 2006, 2007. I don't remember when the UFC event started. I don't remember ever seeing Carrie Kasem host anything at all. But when I was watching the clips of Gary Brecka on Joe Rogan, and Gary Brecka tells the story that Carrie Kasem is the one who introduced Gary Brecka to Dana White, Joe said, oh, yeah. I remember Carrie from the early UFC events. And then I Googled it. Turns out Carrie was like one of the hostesses, sort of MCs or something of the televised event. So that was interesting. So now that I'm saying this out loud, I guess if Carrie had a pre-existing relationship with Dana White, and then if Carrie met Grant Cardone through Scientology, it is still possible that it was after Gary Brecka and Grant Cardone got into business together that then Carrie Kasem came into the equation and made the introduction between Gary Brecka and Dana White. Someone in the chat's asking, is there a relation to Carrie Kasem? Casey Kasem. Yeah, Carrie is his daughter. Okay, so that's really all I have on this. I think this is amazingly fascinating to me. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I was so pissed when I first saw Dana White being used as a pawn in Grant Cardone's schemes and frauds that I was like, Dana, how could this happen? How could this happen? I got to tell you, I'm taking, there's a little bit of Schadenfreude. Is that when you take relish in the misfortune of others? A little bit of Schadenfreude seeing that the whole 10X health scam in particular looks like it's falling apart, and that it's all going to go in a direction away from Grant Cardone. Now, I realize I sound like, I'm always hitting the same note when it comes to Grant Cardone. Everything he does is bad. Nothing he ever does is good. And one of the things I try to be honest about on this channel is I only talk about Grant Cardone because he's one of the biggest recruiters, promoters, and financiers of the multi-billion-dollar international human trafficking cult known as Scientology. And this channel is called Growing Up in Scientology. And as long as Grant Cardone continues to be one of the biggest promoters and recruiters for this cult, I'm going to continue to do videos like this about him. It's not because I'm in the real estate business. It's not because I'm a hater, which is what Grant Cardone calls anyone who criticizes him. But, when you're out there enabling a cult that destroys families and traffics people for labor all over the world, you deserve a little bit of criticism. And there's a lot of people out there terrified to criticize Grant Cardone, particularly in the way that I do. Luckily, I've got a little bit of protection. As a former Scientologist myself, as someone who's declared a suppressive person, Grant Cardone is actually not allowed to sue me. I've said that a lot of times. Not a lot of people believe it. Grant Cardone is actually not allowed to sue me. For the same reason, Scientologists in Clearwater, Florida, are not allowed to run for city council. It's not because there's some Scientology policy that says they can't run for city council. It's not like there's some Scientology policy that says a Scientologist can't declare a suppressive person. But Grant Cardone suing me would give me tons of press, and it would raise my profile, and it would attract a lot of eyeballs to a channel that does nothing but expose Scientology crime and abuse every day. And that is why Grant Cardone can't sue me. So I have a little bit of freedom and a little bit of liberty and the luxury to say some shit that other people might not be able to say. And since I have that freedom and that privilege, I'm going to use it as much as I can. And I do, which is the only reason I do videos about Grant Cardone. All right, let's see here. Oh, by the way, apropos of nothing, here's a photo of a mugshot for Gary Brecka back in 2017, arrested for grand theft. I don't have any story at all for what in the hell led to this. Gary Brecka is 6'3". This is a big dude. 6'3", 190. I mean, I'm 6'1", 220. So, 6'3", 190 is pretty skinny, pretty slim, pretty fit. But yeah, it looks good in orange. I'd love to know the backstory on that. If anyone knows why Gary Brecka was arrested for grand theft, please send me the information at growingupinScientology@gmail.com. Thank you in advance. Lori Palays, one of my moderators, became a YouTube member. I wonder if that's one of those. So many people have been gifting channel memberships, and then YouTube automatically assigns these channel memberships to people in the live chat. So Lori Palays, welcome as a channel member. Okay, what is this? Bailey Starr. Aaron, can I please ask for your email? Yes, it's growingupinScientology@gmail.com. I wrote a song that I think you and the SPTV family might really like regarding Scientology. Please check it out. I'll subject it as Bailey Starr. Much appreciated. Well, thank you, Bailey. I look forward to seeing it. XIAS Reg. Oh boy, if you're really an XIAS Reg, I want to chat with you. So if you really are, please email me at growingupinScientology@gmail.com. Hey, Ron, I can't seem to find the membership sign up button. Is there a link somewhere? If you're on an iPhone, it's impossible to find the membership sign up button. If you're on an actual computer, it's right next to the subscribe button. So my moderators probably, they have the link to paste in the live chat. And if I remember, I'll post it in the video description or in a pinned comment or something. Thank you for that. Passenger Shaming has been a member for a month now. Been waiting for Cardone's perp walk for years. Yeah, I know. I mean, who knows if it'll ever happen at this point, But I'm still waiting for it as well. XIAS Reg is a new channel member. Monster in Head has gifted 5 channel memberships. Thank you, Monster in Head. That is incredible. Ken's channel, this video was a superhuman power slap. Ken, you've got the best comments. Let's see. What is this? Better Together says, I researched this. Uncle G, aka Grant Cardone, is leveraging tax legislation programs in step with Stenson Tamadon. Hope I'm saying that correct. This is an offshoot of PPP tax break. Next up is Green Energy Tax Credit 10X for passive income companies. I got to be honest, I don't think I understood a word of that, but it sounds interesting. Better Together, if there's something I need to better understand about this, if this is something I should do a video on, please email me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Beachcomber, aka Cucumber, gifted 5 channel memberships. Thank you, Beachcomber. I really appreciate it. Unstable Datum, Grant Cardone to Dana White. Bro, do you even grift? Oh, I like that one. Better Together is back. Oops, I meant the PPO tax break. Self-funded insurance for business owners companies. PPP was the ERTC, employee retention tax credit shakedown that 10X did the last few years. Small business tax breaks. Okay. Again, I feel like I need to learn more about this, so email me if you can. Let's see. DDT Shoots says, I recommend that Scientology protesters could be 63% more effective if they show up with red light panels. Yes. Monster and Head gifted 5 additional channel memberships. That's awesome, you guys. I think I'm about to break 1,000 channel members. So thank you to all of you who've signed up. Thank you to all of you who've been gifting memberships as well. That's really, really cool of you guys. I appreciate it. And welcome Kelly Farrar as a new channel member. All right, guys, that's all I have on this. That's probably it for me tonight. I'm going to do an in-studio interview this evening, and those are not live. Those are pre-recorded. So that's what I'm going to be busy with. Thank you guys all for hanging out with me this evening. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.